Hi, and welcome to the presentation for Music, Dance and Drama. The subject code for this subject is MDD12, MD12 and SSMD12. This is the presentation for all examinations for 2020. My name is Dr. Marie van Skalkwyk and I'm your tutor for this subject. My contact details you will find on the PowerPoint presentation, my phone number and my email address. Please make sure that you have these correctly. You are welcome to contact me between 6 and 8 weekdays on the telephone, or you can send me an SMS or WhatsApp or email at any other time. However, I will only be able to answer you or to respond to your queries when I have time. Okay? Please note again that the office hours, as for all tutors at IOL, is between 6 and 8 weekdays. If you phone, please phone during these times. If I am busy with another student on the phone, I promise you I will phone you back, but I'm asking you to please respect these times. If you phone me during the day, I won't be able to take your call and I won't be able to answer your query. Before we start our formal presentation, I know that there are a lot of students who are struggling to pass the subject. What I want to tell you is just keep on trying. However, if you have written this subject 2 or 3 times now and you keep on failing, you have to change the way that you are studying for music, dance and drama, because that means you are not understanding the work, and if you don't understand the work, you are not able to answer questions or apply your knowledge. So later on, we are going to discuss a 3-step process, how I would suggest you study for music, dance and drama. I would like to urge you, please, to look at this and prepare yourself using this process. Okay, now this presentation will assign you the work that you need to study for all examinations in 2020. That means it's for the April, August and November examinations. The scope of the work cannot be limited. It will also be very unwise to eliminate work that was asked in a previous examination. Even though you might not receive the same question, the work can be asked in another way, whether it's multiple choice or maybe in a short question. Okay. Now this presentation will also provide further information on suggested study methods, as I've mentioned earlier, as well as the time frame for you to study for music, dance and drama. You have to use the PowerPoint presentation together with the video presentation. This is very important. If you only use the PowerPoint presentation, you will lose about half of the information that is being presented to you. I also cannot send anybody a copy of the video presentation. I do not have it. You have to go to your student portal, your IOL student portal, and download it from there. Now, every subject that you do at IOL has something called specific learning outcomes. And these specific learning outcomes are the things that you have to focus on for each subject. For music, dance and drama, there are 6 specific learning outcomes. So everything that you study has to be in correlation with these 6 specific learning outcomes. And each of the learning outcomes actually correlate with the unit in your study guide. So it's really easy. Now, the examination and your assignments and all your work focus on these. So if you are studying and you're thinking what I am doing now is not in line with the specific learning outcome, then you are probably not studying the correct work. So please make sure that you know what these are. I'm going to go through them now, but you can also find them in the front of your study guide. Now, the first one is to discuss some basic music and drama perspectives. And this learning outcome is dealt with in Unit 1. The second learning outcome is to examine and demonstrate how to involve learners in singing and the playing of percussion instruments. This is mostly in Unit 2. Specific learning outcome number 3, you have to demonstrate and clarify how to involve learners in dancing activities, including traditional dances. This you will mostly find in Unit 3. Number 4, discuss and demonstrate how to involve learners in drama activities. This learning outcome is mostly concentrated on in Unit 4. The 5th specific learning outcome is you have to explain how to express artistic opinions and in an assertive manner, and this you will mostly find in Unit 5. Your 6 specific learning outcome is one that you can find over all 5 units in your study guide, and this is that you have to examine the teaching and learning activities and materials of music, dance, and drama. In other words, you have to look at all of the things that's listed in or that tells you how to teach music, dance, and drama. You have to examine them, you have to demonstrate them, you have to be able to apply them in your own classroom, and you also have to demonstrate your understanding and knowledge of them in an assignment as well as in the examination. Now, once again, everything that you study for this subject should be in line with those 6 outcomes. Now let's see, how do we study for music, dance, and drama? Because it's a lot of work and quite a lot of you find it very, very daunting. But now, the first thing that I want you to do, even if you have written the subject before, is I want you to start afresh this year. The first step that you do is I want you to take your study guide and I want you to start reading it from page 1, read it all the way through unto the end. I want you to think of your study guide as a movie or a book that you are reading. If you are only watching the end of the movie, you won't understand what happened in the rest of the movie. You don't know what led up to this point. You will miss quite a lot of very important character development and plot development and quite a lot of interesting and maybe even funny things. If you only read the middle of the book, I don't know if you'll have a lot of understanding about why the characters are doing what they're doing or where they are going, because you've missed the beginning and you've missed the end. Now the study guide is exactly the same. It's meant to be read and understood as a whole. So if you read the whole thing, then it gives you an idea of what the whole subject is like. Okay? So if you only study the parts that's listed in this presentation, you will never get a feeling for the entire subject, which means you won't understand where everything fits in. This makes it more difficult to study, this makes it more difficult to remember, and this makes it more difficult to pass the exam. Once you have read through your entire study guide, you can now start to actively engage with the work. To actively engage with the work means you are actually in a, I can almost liken it to a conversation with the work. You are reading the work, you are thinking about the work, you are seeing if you understand it, you are seeing if you can actually apply it, if you can use it. Do you understand it? Do you agree with it? This is actively engaging with the work. This also means that all the experiences that you've had up to now is going to lead you to understand the work in a certain way. Maybe you don't agree with what's written. Now you have to go see, why don't I agree? And you have to go actively search for the answer. Or maybe it's like a light bulb that's going on in your head when you read some information for the first time and you're thinking, but how can I use that? How can this be practically possible in a classroom? That means you are actively engaging in the work. You're not just sitting back and passively reading through this, hoping that something will get stuck in your brain and that you can remember it and then you can use it. So this also means that you have to work out the learning activities. Now the learning activities are there to see if you can actually understand and if you can read critically. So once you've gone through a section, do the learning activities, and then there's also a guide to an answer at the end of each unit and see if you've got them right. Okay, so just like you read the book from beginning to end, what I also want you to do when you do each unit, read each unit again from beginning to end. It's the same as with the entire study guide. It gives you a bigger picture of what the unit is about. Okay, now the 3-step system that I've spoken about earlier, okay, what this is and why this is important that you use this. Music, dance, and drama is a practical subject. In other words, it's something that you do. When you do music, you play it or you sing it. When you do drama, you're on stage, you're acting. And when you're dancing, of course, you're moving your body. However, what we are asking you to do is to learn the theory. In other words, this wonderful activities full of love and laughter and movement is translated to a piece of paper, which is not that exciting at all. However, this is the way that you have to study it. So in order to make it more interesting for you, and in order for you to understand it, you actually have to do the theory. Okay, so if you read something, you do it, and then you learn something. This is what the 3-step process is about. Now, if you do this process, firstly, it will help you to gain knowledge. It will help you to understand the knowledge, and then it will help you to remember the knowledge and apply the knowledge. Now, this word application or apply that I've used quite often now, this basically means that you can use the knowledge. So it's not something that you've just learned by rote learning. It's actually something that you've learned, you've understood it, and now you can go to your classroom and you can use this for your students. Okay. If you use this three-step process, you actually engage your entire body. You engage, you see, you feel, you hear, you touch, you do. And this means that your whole body is involved. So it's a very holistic learning process. And this will also help you to tell different things apart. For example, if you think of Unit 2, the music unit, you've got something there, how to teach students the value of music using dynamic methods, how to teach and use tune to students, and also how to teach students to sing in a group. Now these things, or these three very, very separate and very different elements, are something that confuses students. However, if you do it, if you do the steps of how to teach students to sing in a group, or if you do the steps of how to introduce a new tune to students, you will never ever get them confused again, I promise you, because you've done it. This means that you will remember it. It means that you can differentiate between them, so you can tell the difference, okay? Now, once you understand something like that, once you've done it, it also means that you will be able to memorize it easier. You are able to, your brain works that way. If you understand something, you are able to learn it quicker, and you are able to remember it quicker. If you have to memorize a whole entire page of mumbo jumbo that you don't understand heads of tails of, you're going to struggle really hard to remember it. You're going to struggle really hard to learn it, and you're going to struggle extremely hard to recall it. Recalls means you retrieve the information. You get it so that you can write it down in the exam. Now, understanding your work also means that you will understand how to answer the questions, because you know what work to select, and you can actually use this knowledge that you gain and you can apply it in different ways. Now, I'm going to demonstrate the three-step system to you now, and I hope that after this you will understand and appreciate the value of this system. Now, the first thing, or the thing that I'm going to use, we're going to go to Unit 3, and we're going to go to the different joints that's in the body. Now, in your study guide, it says that a ball and socket joint is a bone with a rounded end that sits into a bone with a cup-shaped opening that allows for a lot of rotation, and you can find this in the shoulder and in the hip. Now, this sounds like a lot of baloney. However, if you take a bone with a ball-shaped ending and you take a bone with a cup-shaped opening and you put them in, you can see that it can rotate. Rotates means that it can turn around. Do you see that? So the ball and the cup, and that is what your shoulder and your hip looks like. Now, once you've seen it in this way, you actually go to your shoulder and you see what movements can your shoulder do. It can actually turn right around. It can move up and down, it can move sideways. Your shoulder and your hip can move all the way around, and they both have the ball and socket joints. Now, if we go to the rotator cuff. Now, the rotator cuff is these muscles that is keeping that in there. Wait, let me put it this way. In your study guide, it says the rotator cuff is a group of 4 muscles that starts at the head of the shoulder, and it goes all the way to the back. And this helps for the stability and the mobility. Stability and mobility of the shoulder joint. Now, if we take the same ball and cup that we've used just now, and we've put some blue muscles on it. Now, it still allows this joint to rotate, but look there, it can't fall out, okay? So this is the job of the rotator cuff. It keeps this ball and socket joint, it allows for it mobility, and otherwise it can still move around, it can still do all the movements, but it also allows for stability. In other words, it won't fall out, your shoulder won't dislocate. And that's what the rotator cuff is for. Now, if you actually feel at the back of your shoulder, and you pick your shoulder up and down and turn it all around, you will actually feel those muscles working, and that's the rotator cuff. Now, the second joint that you have in your study guide is the ellipsoidal joint, and the example of that is your wrist. Now, in your study guide, it says that it allows for a lot of movement, but it does not rotate. Okay, now if you think of, still almost a cup's opening, but now you don't have a ball anymore. So it's in there, and now you've got up and down movements, but it really can't rotate all around. You have some turning, you've got some twisting, but it doesn't rotate all the way around like the ball does in the cup. Now, if you think of your wrist and all the movement that your wrist can do, your wrist can move sideways, it can move front and back, and you can almost turn it around. See, if you hold your hand like this, you will see the movement that you can make. It can't turn all the way around. The moment you want it to turn all the way around, you engage the rest of your arm. Okay, so this is the ellipsoidal joint for your wrist. Then the third joint that they tell you is something called a hinge joint. Now the hinge joint, they say it's for opening and closing, or bending and unbending parts of your body, like your elbow as well as your knee. Now where do we find a hinge? We find a hinge on a door. Now I've brought a little Lego door for you. So what can a door do? A door can open and a door can close. A door can't go up and down and rotate all around, well, except if it's a revolving door, but we're not going to discuss that. So it can open and it can close. What does your elbow do? It opens and it closes. It opens and it closes. You can't really move your elbow sideways. The moment you do this, you're actually using your shoulder. So it bends and it unbends, okay? Now, can you turn your elbow around? No, you can't. So that's your hinge joint. Then the last joint is the pivot joint. Now the pivot joint you can find between your skull and your neck. Okay? Now the pivot joint is two discs that are joined together by all types of sinews and stuff. Okay? Now in your book they tell you that the pivot joint allows for a little bit of twisting. It allows us to shake our head. No. Okay? Now if you think of these two discs as the pivot joint, I can't open it. It won't go up and down, but what it can do is it can twist. And that's what the pivot joint does. Now, after you've seen all of this, I hope that you will never ever confuse or forget joints again. And this is how the three-step system works, because now if you remember, or if you are starting to learn the joints, you are going to remember the ball and the cup. You're going to remember your ball and shoulder joint. If you're in the exam, you can think back on that, and that will also help you with memory recall. So that's a very, very simplistic demonstration of how the three-step system works. Okay, now make sure that you study all the work indicated in this presentation, as well as your 2020 assignment. It's extremely important that you study your 2020 assignment, because a third of all the marks in each exam paper comes from the 2020 assignment. Okay, if you have qualified for the exam in 2019, 2018, 2017, you have to redo the assignment. You don't have to redo it in order to submit it again to get marked, but you have to redo it to get the answers. Now, you are more than welcome to send me these assignments that you've worked out. I'll gladly mark them for you and give you feedback and say you have to do this and look at this, because you have to study it. If you don't study it, you're actually missing out on 40 marks, 40 out of 120 marks in the exam. Now, that's just plain silliness if you do that. I would suggest that you don't study by only working out previous examinations. The scope each year differs. Okay, the question differs. So if you only work out previous examinations and learn those answers, you will not pass. If you want to work out previous examination papers in order to practice, that's something else. But then you already have to know all of your work by heart, and then you use these question papers as a practice examination and see, can you recall it, your knowledge, can you use your knowledge, and then you can mark it. But working out question papers can never, ever, ever be a substitute for studying the indicated sections in your study guide. Now, I would suggest that you put at least 3 months aside to study music, dance, and drama before you write the exam, especially because this is not the only subject that you are studying. Now, the first month, I would suggest you start reading your study guide from front 2 back, as well as watch the presentations that's on your student portal. Now, I've recorded I've recorded content-based presentations for every unit that explains the stuff that students usually struggle with the most. So watch through these, and you never know, maybe you understand something that you've not understood before. Watch these, read through your study guide that you all do in the first month, so that you have a bit of an idea of what music and drama is about. In your second month, you now start actively engaging with the study material, like I've explained to you further. You read, you do, you learn. And this is also the time period which it would be the best for you to contact me if you don't understand anything. If you leave it for later, it means that you've already started to memorize stuff and you're just leaving it too late. So as you are going through your sections and the stuff that you have to study for the exam, and there's something that you don't understand, send me an email, send me on WhatsApp if you don't want to phone, or phone me, and I will gladly explain this to you better, okay? You can also have a study group that I know quite a lot of you join. However, do be careful. Make sure that the answers that you get in your study group is the same answers that are in your study guide. Quite often, students study together, and then the questions that they study so hard on, or the information that they learn so hard, is actually not the correct information. So it's very important that you make sure that you study the correct information. Now, you can also do your sample questions, the learning activities, and then you can check your understanding and knowledge at the end of your section. The third month, now, you are using whatever study method you prefer, whether this is summarizing or mnemonics or spider maps, whatever study method you prefer. You now start learning the work. Because at this stage, now you should have a feel for the entire subject. You should have done it. So you practically should have done it. You understand it. So now the only thing that's left to do is to start studying. Aim to finish your studies for this subject before the first day of examinations. The last thing that you want to do is still have to study new information as you are also studying for other subjects. This way, you will only have to recap everything the day before you write music, dance, and drama. Also, don't study on the day that you write your examination. I often have students contacting me on 12 o'clock of the day that they are writing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, asking questions. The answers that you get then, you just won't remember them. And also it tells me that you haven't prepared well enough. So please make sure that you are finished with all of your work before you have to start writing. Okay, now, also very important for writing the exam is you have to study your verbs. All the verbs, or quite a lot of them in any case, are in the front of your study guide. Make sure that you know them. Your verbs tells you how to use the information. So even if you understood everything in your study guide, you've learned it, you're able to apply it, you still have to know how you have to use it to answer a question. For example, list and describe. Let's take those two verbs. Now, describes means that you have to give a fact and then you have to give a reason. List means you are literally just saying stuff one after the other. So say, for example, if we take the example in Unit 2 of why music is beneficial for a child's development. And these are the things that it aids with mathematics, and it helps learning language skills. And music and movement go together, and music makes transitions easier. What I've just done is I've listed them, okay? I've listed 4. This means if this was a question that asked you to describe it, you can only get 4 marks and not the 8 or 12. That is the maximum amount of marks that it would have been if it was described. However, if you say music makes transitions easier, this is your fact, and now you are saying why, or you are explaining your fact. You say, when children sing a song, a pickup song, like for example, it is pickup time, we pick up all our toys for it is pickup time. They are doing it without even thinking, so it just makes it easier to go from one thing to the other, then you get another mark. So that's why it's important for you to study your verbs. Okay, now the question paper format is always the same. It consists out of 5 main questions. Now the first question consists of question 1.1 and 1.2. Question 1.1 always are multiple choice questions. These multiple choice questions are spread throughout your entire study guide, and they also appear in the order that they appear in your study guide. In other words, you will get three multiple choice questions on Unit 1, 3 multiple choice questions on Unit 2, 3 multiple choice questions on Unit 3, 3 multiple choice questions on Unit 4, and 3 multiple choice questions on Unit 5. The reason why they appear like this is just to aid that you don't get too much confused and just to make it a bit easier for you. This second part of question 1, question 1.2, is short answer questions. This means it's 1, 2, 3 marks, never more than that, and that regards the work in Unit 1. Question 2 deals with the music unit, Unit 2. Question 3 deals with Unit 3, the dance unit. Question 4 deals with Unit 4, the drama unit, and question 5 is concerned with voicing artistic opinion, and that is also then corresponds to Unit 5. Okay, now you will also see that the main questions is also in order of appearance that they are in your study guide. Now, the number of marks in your question paper generally equates the number of facts. So if a question counts 5 marks, it usually means that you have to write down 5 things. Do not leave any questions out. If you leave blank spaces in your question paper, or I can't mark it and you can't receive marks. I cannot mark if you haven't written anything. So rather try, you never know, maybe it's the correct information. You also have to write legibly. This means that I have to be able to read it. If I literally can't read your work, I can't mark it. You have to read your questions carefully and critically. This means that you don't just read until the first familiar word and then you answer the first thing that comes into your head. You have to read the entire question, okay? Then see what knowledge do you have to use, and then look at the verb and see how you have to use this knowledge. All your verbs in your question paper is underlined to make it easier for you. So that means that you can just look at the verb and then use your knowledge according to what you should do with your verb. The level 2 questions and the level 3 questions are very clearly marked. And the reason why I've done this is because usually there's a higher level of thinking required to answer this question. It means that it won't be only something that you're answering by rote learning, that you've just learned like a parrot and are just writing it down. It means that you have to use this knowledge in a certain way. You have to apply it. You have to think creatively or critically. Finally, you need to obtain 50% or more in the examination to pass. Even if your assignment marks was 90% or 95%, you cannot pass this subject unless you have 50% or more in the examination. This means that you need 60 correct facts to pass. Now, if I refer to where I earlier said that 40 marks out of every single question paper comes from your assignment, then you see how important it is to study your assignment. This also means that you need to study the correct answers at your assignment. If you have given in an assignment in January and there are things that you have had wrong, please redo them, send it back to me so that I can give you the necessary guidance so that you can learn the correct answer. It doesn't help you study your assignment and you study the wrong answers. Because if you already have 40 marks that you know that you're going to get from your assignment, that means it's only 20 marks that you still need to get in order to pass. Now, that's just way too good to pass up. So please make sure, once again, that you study your 2020 assignment, but that you study the correct answers. Now, the next section from now on will focus on the work that you need to study for the 2020 examinations. We're going to start with Unit 1 and work our way through all the way to Unit 5. Now, the first thing in Unit 1 that you need to know is you need to know why drama and music play such an important part of education. For this, in order to answer this, you need to study. If you are DJPE and DPPE, you study Unit 1.1.1, the aims and benefits of a music education, and Unit 1.1.2, the aims and benefits of a drama education. DJPE learners, please note that learning activity number 2 also falls under this section. You have to study Unit 1.4, the importance of music as a medium of teaching and learning, And please note that there's a difference between the importance of music as self-improvement for learners and the importance of music for children's development. You have to study Unit 1.5.1, Why Teach Drama, Unit 1.5.2, Drama Activities, and Unit 1.5.3, The Principles of Drama. Here I want you to focus on the definitions. If you are BESP students, then you study these sections. Unit 1.1, The Aims of Music and Drama Education in a Senior Primary Setting, Aims and Benefits of Music Education. Unit 1.1, Aims of Music and Drama Education in a Senior Primary Setting, the Aims and Benefits of Drama Education. Unit 1.4, The Importance of Music as a Medium of Teaching Learning. And once again, please note that there's a difference between the importance of music as self-improvement for learners and the importance of music for children's development. You have to study Unit 1.5.1, Why Teach Drama, 1.5.2, Drama Activities, and 1.5.3, The Principles of Drama. Once again, I want you to focus on the definitions. The next thing that you need to know in this section is you need to know what music is used for besides entertainment purposes. For this, DJPE, DPPE, and BESP all study Unit 1.2, Some Theories about Therapy, Music Therapy, Unit 1.6.1, The Application of Music in Sport. Finally, in this unit, you need to know the types of careers that you can follow in music and drama. For this, DJPE, DPPE, and BESP all study Unit 1.9, The Types of Careers and Music and Drama. Okay, that's it for Unit 1. We are moving on to Unit 2. Now, firstly in Unit 2, you need to know the theory behind music or music theory. For this, DJPE, BPPE, and BESP all study Unit 2.1, What is Music Theory? You also need to know how to involve your students in music classes. For this, DJPE, DPPE, and BESP all study Unit 2.2, How to Involve Learners in Melodious Activities. And what you need to focus on in this section is how to teach the value of music, how to teach learners to sing in a group, and how to teach rhythm and tempo. You study Unit 2.5, How to Involve Learners in Body Percussion, and Unit 2.9, How to Teach New Songs to Young Children. Now you also need to know about percussion instruments, including how to make percussion instruments. For this, DJPE, BESP, and DPPE study Unit 2.6, Natural and Fabricated Percussion Instruments, and Unit 2.8, How to Create Homemade Instruments. Now on this, I would just quickly to tell you, I would just like to note the following. In your study guide, there are instructions to create a jingle bell tambourine, a paper plate shaker, as well as a homemade drum. These are the instructions that you have to follow. If you go on the internet and you type this into how to create homemade percussion instruments on a search engine, you are going to find literally thousands of different methods, of different ways that you can make this. What you need to study for the exam and for the purpose of this module is you have to study what's in the study guide. Even if you have the most wonderful elaborate drum and it's not the same or basically the same as the one in the study guide, you will not receive marks for it. Okay, so please make sure that you study the instructions that's given to you in your study guide. Now finally in Unit 2, you need to know what the effect of listening to music is. DJPE, DPPE, and BESP all study Unit 2.10, the positive and negative effects of listening to music. Unit 2.11, how loud noise in urban areas is seen as noise pollution. Then we're done with Unit 2 and we're moving on to Unit 3. Now this is concerned with how to involve learners in dancing activities, including traditional dances. You need to know why it is important to warm up before dancing, as well as what it is that you need to warm up. For this, DJPE, DPPE, and BESP all study Unit 3.1, the importance and type of warm-up exercises before dancing. Unit 3.2, different types of joints or different types of joints that must be exercised. Unit 3.3, some muscle movements. You need to know a little bit about famous historical international ballet dancers. For this, DJPE, BESP, DPPE all study Unit 3.6, famous historical ballet dancers in the world. Now you finally need to know how to involve students in dance activities, different dance styles, appropriate dance activities, as well as why it is beneficial to teach dance to young learners. For this, DJPE, DPPE and BESP all study Unit 3.9.1, free and choreographed movement to music, Unit 3.9.2, how to involve learners to participate in dancing activities by using large and small muscles, Unit 3.9.4, how to involve learners to participate in dancing activities by using perceptual motor movements and muscle coordination, Unit 3.10.1, traditional dances, and Unit 3.14, physical health benefits of regular dancing. The last thing that you need to know in this unit is you need to know how to plan and execute a dance performance. For this, BESP, DPPE and DJPE all study Unit 3.8, how to select music for a dance scenario. Then we're done with Unit 3, we're moving on to Unit 4. Unit 4 is concerned with how to involve learners in drama activities. Now firstly, you need to know how to interest your students in drama classes and the drama activities that you present. For this DPPE study, Unit 4.1, how to involve pre-primary learners in drama activities. What you focus on is what is drama, the contribution of drama to a learner's development, role play and improvisation, dramatization and role play, why is role play important, costumes and masks, body image, body awareness and body experience. Unit 4.2, how to involve learners in miming, and Unit 4.8, how to dramatize a story using puppets. DJPE study, Unit 4.1, how to involve primary learners in drama activities. What you focus on is what is drama, the contribution of drama to a learner's development, role play and improvisation, dramatization and role play, why is role play important, costumes and masks, body image, body awareness and body experience. Unit 4.2, how to involve learners in miming, and Unit 4.7, how to dramatize a story using puppets. BESP study, Unit 4.1.6, what is drama? Unit 4.1.7, the contribution of drama to a learner's development. Unit 4.1.8, role play and improvisation. Unit 4.1.9, dramatization and role play. Unit 4.1.10, costumes and masks. Unit 4.1.11, preparation for the drama activity. Unit 4.2, how to involve learners in miming. And Unit 4.7, how to dramatize a story using puppets. Before we continue, I would just quickly like to give you a hint. The difference between costumes and props. Costumes are the clothes that an actor wears, and props are the physical objects that an actor uses. The purpose of costume is to help a student or a learner to stay in character, and the purpose of props is to help actors to act out a scene. Make sure that you know there's very slight difference between the two. Now, you also need to know about the use of different dramatic and theatre conventions and how to use them in an educational setting. For this, DJPE, DPPE and BESP all study Unit 4.4, the use and value of masks, props and costumes in drama. Unit 4.5, the role of voice and movement in characterization. You need to know how drama can be applied in other settings. For this, DJPE, DPPE and BESP all study Unit 4.10, how knowledge of non-verbal communication can help you to more accurately interpret the feelings and motives of other people. However, what I want you to focus on is the definition of non-verbal communication. Finally, you need to know how to plan and execute a drama performance. For this, all of you study Unit 4.8, how to train learners for a complete music and drama show. Now we're done with Unit 4, we're moving on to Unit 5, how to express artistic opinions in an assertive manner. You need to know how to create an art critique for music and a drama piece. You have to study Unit 5.1, how to appreciate artistic works of art. Unit 5.2, how to appreciate works of music and drama. And Unit 5.3, how to communicate opinions about artistic works. You need to know how to react when somebody criticizes your work. For this, all of you study Unit 5.4, How to React to Criticism and Praise. Finally, you need to know the value of group work. For this, all of you study Unit 5.5, How to Teach Learners to Work in a Group. Now, something in Unit 5 that is very, very important. There is an enormous difference between an art critique and criticism. Criticism is when I tell you I don't like your hair. An art critique is an evaluation of a piece of art. It's a judgment of a piece of art. And it's something that is well written. Okay? In other words, you can't just say, I don't like it. You have to go to give reasons for that. Now, you can do this in 4 steps, and all of this you will find in your study guide. Firstly, you describe what you see. Secondly, you analyze the artwork. Thirdly, you interpret the artwork. And fourthly, you evaluate the artwork. So what you have to do is you have to look at it. Now, you tell me, what do you see? How does it make you feel? Why do you think the artist did this? What do you think it means? Do you think the message that the artist is trying to tell us, if you look at the title, is this working? Do you think that it's a valuable piece of art? In other words, not money-wise, but do you think this is something that's valuable to the community or to the country? Does it teach us something? Is it just a black hole on a paper and it doesn't teach you anything? However, whatever you tell me, you have to give me a reason why you tell me. And at the end, you give an evaluation or judgment. In other words, you give your final conclusion of what you think. Now, in order to demonstrate you this, I've brought you a picture. If you go to the content-based presentation for Unit 5, you will also see an example of an art critique. Okay? Now, the reason why I use children's drawings for this is for the very simple reason. The whole thing about an art critique is that you can literally read whatever you want to into a piece of art. It is very much subjective and not objective. The only objective part is when you tell me about the lines and the colors used and the light saturation and the form, because that's what you can see. But the rest of it is all how it makes you feel and what you think it means. Now, the reason why this entire artistic oppression thing, opinions is contained in your study guide and also in the curriculum for primary schools, is because it helps kids to critically think, to think critically. In other words, they have to think the why and the how, and the what does it mean, and what does it mean to me, and why does it make me feel this way, and why do I like something, or why don't I like something? Because it's very easy to say that's ugly or that's beautiful, which is, by the way, not what it is all about. But you have to be able to give a reason. You have to be able to articulate your choices. That means it's critical thinking, it develops your brain, and that all helps with reading and writing and math and all of those wonderful things. So it's also a very good exercise for you to do and to decide, why don't I like this? And to give me valid reasons. Now, if you look at this picture, it is very clear that this is a picture drawn by, firstly, a very young child, okay, but also a picture of a man. So if I were to give an art critique on this picture, what I would firstly say is I would say that the artist only used 2 colors, and he seemed to use very definite lines. There are some circular elements. There's not a lot of angles in this picture. So when I look at this, it makes me feel happy. And the reason why it makes me feel happy is it makes me think of a balloon that's floating in the air. And the reason why I think it's making me feel like this is because there's this long legs which goes to the body. So this makes me think of a balloon that's filled with helium that's attached to the string. And what I think that the artist is trying to tell us is he's trying to tell us that we should live our lives happily. We should have our heads in the clouds. We should dream. We should try to be better, but we should always still be grounded in reality. So no matter what we dream, we can do anything that we want to, but we must always make sure that it's doable. We must always remember where we come from. We must always stay anchored, no matter where we go in life, no matter what we achieve. And in that sense, I think the value of this painting is that it gives us a valuable life lesson. It reminds us that we can dream big, and that we should dream big, and that we can do anything we want to, but that we always have to remain grounded in some form and not drift away. So that's a very, very simplistic art critique. However, the reason why I took this picture is just to demonstrate to you that literally anything that you say is acceptable. So you can literally write down anything that you want to, based on the picture, of course. However, you have to be able to give reasons. If you interpret something, or if you say this is the message, you have to tell me why you think this is the message. And the reason why has to be in the picture, okay? Like I said, if you want another explanation of an art critique, you want to see another example, I refer you to the content-based presentation for Unit 5, and you will find that on the student portal of IOL. Now, that is it from me. I can only wish you all the best with your exams, and I really hope that by using the 3-step system, by actively engaging in the work, and by actually doing the things, that you will actually enjoy this module, because the arts is something that should be enjoyed. It is something that should be joyous and full of movement and full of freedom to experience and experiment and try stuff out. So I really encourage you, do the exercises, and a new world actually might open up in front of you. Thank you very much.